Hello, and welcome to our class on using batch entry in Freezerworks Basic. Batch entry is an option in Freezerworks Basic. We also like to call it CLIP, batch enter CLIP. And CLIP stands for Clinical Lab Inventory Program, or CLIP. What CLIP is good for is for your lab if you are a busy lab that's storing for short-term purposes only hundreds to thousands of samples for perhaps a week or two in case you're in a hospital or a clinic that's running a lot of tests, and maybe within that week or two you may want to pull out an aliquot and run an additional test. You need CLIP to find that vial quickly and run that additional test. So, Clinical Laboratory Inventory Program. A lot of our clients that use CLIP will create their freezers. There'll be freezers that may even be a walk-in refrigerator or a refrigerator with racks, and the racks are separated by days of the week. So on Monday they run their tests, they store the samples that the tests were run on. Tuesday they run the Tuesday samples and store them there, and so forth. And then at the end of the week, and they start a new week, Monday comes along again, and if Monday is when they discard last week's samples, if they're only storing them for 7 days, they would then remove and discard the Monday samples and create a new batch of samples for storage. So and this is what CLIP is very, very useful for. A large number of clients of ours use CLIP for this purpose. So I'm going to show you here how to set up and utilize CLIP to save hours of time on a daily basis, finding those samples that need to be located in order to run, for example, an add-on test. As well as, to be added on to that original test that the sample was used for. CLIP can be used for long-term storage as well. If you've got a lot of aliquots and you need to store them quickly, you want to put them in the freezer location, and you don't need to store a lot of data, just the location of the sample aliquot. CLIP is very useful for that as well. So the first thing I'm going to do in this example is set up a freezer or refrigerator, much like a number of our clients have. This will be a walk-in refrigerator, a walk-in room where you come in and they'll have different shelves. The shelves will be listed according to the day of the week, and then each shelf will have 12 by 6 racks, which are very common in the clinical lab, and they'll be numbered. And then you'll find the rack and pull the aliquot out that you need to run the test on. Let's first create a freezer for this kind of a situation. We go to System Admin, and down at Freezers, let's go to Configure Freezers. We're going to add a new freezer. We'll call it Walk-In. Now in the Walk-In we'll have 7 sections, a section for each day of the week. Let's go ahead and set that up here. So we have the freezer name. Let's now add a new section here. Okay, in the freezer section name, the first one will be called Monday. Now Monday we'll have our walk-in refrigerator has a shelf, maybe 1, maybe 2 shelves, depending on the size. For the Monday samples, we'll just say that each day of the week has 1 shelf. So Monday has 1 shelf, and then each shelf will have the racks, and we have some default words here. We can go ahead and use racks. So each shelf will have a number of racks. Let's say that every day we store up to 20, let's say 25 racks, 12 by 6 racks, and we number them 1 by 25. And if we need more, we can always add more later. If we don't need them all, it's no problem. We don't have to use them all. So 1 shelf, Monday has 1 shelf, 25 racks. Each rack has rows and columns. So let's go ahead and start with row. Now if I use a subdivision name that isn't here, I can just type it right in, or I can select any one that's here already. Let's go ahead and go row. and we will have alpha rows. We'll have 6 alpha rows starting with A, and then column will be the next one. And again, I can either type it in, or if it's there, I can go ahead and use it. And there it is. And we have 12 columns in each of our rack, and it's set up like this. Now, our aliquot positions are defined by row and column. So we select the default here, row and column, which is fine. And that tells us the exact location of the tube that we want to locate. Down here in properties, we default aliquots to be called vials. Let's go ahead and call it a tube. And every tube's going to be assigned a unique position, because when we go and find the rack for that tube, we will go exactly right to the location of that tube. If we look at our configuration picture here, we can see that we have our 12 by 6 rack, and we have our 6 rows, and each row has 12 columns. We can go to View Configuration, look at our shelf, and we see here that we do indeed have 25 racks. Each rack has 6 rows, each row has 12 columns. Very standard setup. And if there's any kinds of setup that needs to be changed or fixed or made different, we go to Define Exceptions. We don't need to do that here though. Now we've made our first shelf in the walk-in refrigerator called Monday. What we want to do is create the rest. We want to save this as a template so that we can use this over and over again, and we'll quickly create our walk-in refrigerator this way. So let's save as template, and we'll go to Save. So let's now add our second section in our walk-in refrigerator. We'll use the template Monday, which was the one we just created. We made a template out of it, and here it is. We have a copy of Monday. We will call it Tuesday. And our Tuesday shelf will be set up the same way. Hit Save, add a new one, and again use the template Monday, and create our next shelf in our walk-in called Wednesday. Save it, and we continue with this until we've got our walk-in freezer set up. There's Thursday. We'll save that. Now we need Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And just like that, our walk-in refrigerator is now created and ready to be used. And there it is. The next thing we want to do is make sure that we have sample types. We go to System Admin Sample Types, and I've got a couple here created already. I'm storing plasma and I'm storing serum, and these are my sample types. So plasma, I've created 2 mil is our default amount. We don't need to put a default number of aliquots. When we use clip, every time we scan a vial, it saves 1 sample record with 1 aliquot, a 1-to-1 relationship. So there's no default number of aliquots. Its default is going to be 1. So we'll just leave that blank. And I've got a serum set up the same way. So create your sample types, and the next thing I want to do is go to the system properties, because here we have some fields here that we want to set up for clip configuration. Now in clip, we want to create a user-defined field that will hold the storage date, the date that we store the sample. And then we also want to create a user-defined field where we tell it the discard date. We also want to know which field is scanned, and right now we don't have any fields here, user-defined fields, and the number of days to hold samples. So we're going to need a sample ID, scan number, we're going to need a storage date and discard date. Let's go ahead and create those next, and then we can fill this out. So, break out of here. Let's go back to System Admin and User Defined Fields. Here we are at Add New. We're going to add some user defined fields. First one will be storage date. We need a storage date. This is a field type which is a date. So date fields, the date entry will have to be, the length will be hard coded for the date. And this is fine here. We don't need to do anything else here. We can make a required field, but clip will be required field as well. We can give it a tooltip as well. Let's leave this blank for now. We just want a storage date and save that. Now we want a discard date. And the same thing here. We give it a date field type so that it needs to be a legitimate date to be scanned, be entered here, and we will save that as well. And then the third field we need is the tube identifier. We can call it tube ID or sample ID or something like that. We'll go ahead and give it a 12 character length. And this is a number that's on the tube that we scan and give it a location. So let's go ahead and save these fields. And here are our user-defined fields: discard date, storage date, tube ID. We can have others as well. This will be fine for our purposes. So with those created, next thing we need to do is go to Configure Layout, Samples, Entry. Let's go ahead and put these on a entry screen. So we go, and here's our default input, is our format name. That'll work fine for us. Let's leave default input, configure it, and now we need to put our fields on our entry screen. This is the entry screen, or the viewing screen for looking at a sample in an aliquot. The sample information is up here, aliquot information down here. Again, it'll be a one-to-one relationship when you use clip. So let's go ahead and add the fields. We go to Samples, Add Fields, and let's go ahead and click and drag the fields onto the screen. We have our sample type. Actually, then we have our tube ID. We have our discard date, and we have our storage date. And we could have free text as well, as we could say something like our clip screen, clip viewing screen. We can do that as well. Let's go ahead. We'll call it clip view screen. Okay, and we'll make it bold. Okay, whoops. Put it over here. Okay, I think that we can do a better job here of setting up our system. Let's put the sample type here. Let's put the tube ID here. Let's put storage discard. That's fine. We'll leave those like this. Let's line these up here. We'll select these four, and then we'll use our alignment tools so that they're nice and straight like this. I need in the aliquots, I need to include the freezer locations. So let's go to aliquot, modify the page here, and I'm going to select freezer position and append that over here. So the displayed fields here will be the freezer position. And that's really all we need. Let's save that, and here they are. I'm going to drag these out a little bit so we can read the locations. And we won't need all 5, but so when I have a sample, if I scan in a sample, I'll have the scanned ID number, I'll have the sample type, the day we stored it, the day we're going to throw it away, and down here will tell me what freezer it's in, which we walk in, which section, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then the position, the rack, and the position in the rack. So looks good. Let's save that here, and now if we go to add new samples, we can take a look at our entry screen right here. Now we're not going to enter samples here in this screen. We're just going to view them because Clip has its own entry screen. So we have created our freezer. We have some sample types. We create our user-defined field entries, and we've created our samples entry screen. Let's go back now to System Admin, Clip, and finish the clip configuration. We want to know which user-defined field holds the storage date. That would be the one we called storage date. Discard date would be discard date. The field used for scanning, that's our tube ID. And the default number of days to hold samples. This would be the day. Clip will want to know, when I add a storage date, what would the discard date be? If it's a week afterwards, then I'll put a 7 here. If it's 2 weeks after the storage date, a 14. If it's 10 days, 10, and so forth. I'm going to put 7 here, and we'll show you how this works when we do it that way. So, clip configuration is now set up. The other thing we're going to want to do is use quick search, and that's going to be our tube ID. And I'll show you what the quick search is. That will give us a little window here that we can have open at all times to scan the ID number and locate the sample we want. So clip configuration and quick search. These are now set up. Let's go ahead now and we will scan a bunch of tubes into our freezer. To do that, sample management, batch enter clip. And here's our batch enter clip screen right here. We can at one sitting enter up to 100 sample aliquots tubes into the system. And what we want to do first is select the freezer. That will be our walk-in freezer. Select the section. Let's, actually today is Thursday here. Let's go ahead and select Thursday. The storage date, 5:30 is the default date. The storage date was defaulted to today's date. I can change that if I'm working on a different day. If I'm back entering, for example, I can change that here. But I think I'll leave it here at 30. And then the discard date, as we set up in the clip configuration, is 7 days after the storage date. So it's defaulted to 7 days after the 30th or the 6th of June. Now, sample type. If I want to include a sample type, I can do that here. We created a couple of these earlier, plasma serum. Let's say that these are serum samples. And the default amount that I set up in my sample types is 2. So I'm all ready to start scanning, and down here is where I scan. And as you can see, I've got a rack here, rack shelf 1, freezer Thursday, each has one shelf. I'm going to start here at rack 1. If I want to start at rack 2 or rack 3 or in the middle of a rack, I can change what we call the next assignable position, or NAP, here. I could change it to rack 2 or rack 3, but I'm starting at this is my first rack on Thursday. It's Thursday morning, and I'm ready to store samples. So all I've got to do is put my cursor in the tube ID and begin to scan my aliquots. So I've got a rack of tubes here. I'm now going to pull them out and scan the ID number into where they go. So you can't see it here, but in my hand I've got a scanner, and you'll be able to hear me scan these samples. This ID number is going to go in A1, and then I put it in A1. This one will go in A2, and I put it in A2, A3, and so forth. So as you can see, and I'll just start skipping around here because your numbers will all be in different areas, of course. And as you can see, I just go ahead and pull each file out, scan it, and put it in the place I want it to be into the freezer. Let's say that in 10, after 10, or before 10, I wanted to put 06. I'll go ahead and put that here. So I would go ahead and insert there. And so if I do make a mistake, I need to go back and insert something that didn't get scanned, I can do that way. So here are my numbers. I would scan after I fill in here to show you how this works. it goes to the next page. I scan, and when I get here, it goes to the next page. I scan, it goes to the next page. So, filled my rack. I'm going to go store it. I'm going to put it in the Thursday freezer now. So I hit save, and when I do that, they get saved, and I can select OK, and there they are. So I fill out a rack. If I want to go look at that rack now, I can go to View Inventory, Explore Freezers. Here's my walk-in freezer. Now there's nothing in Monday, nothing in Tuesday. Thursday, I have one shelf, I have one rack, and here is my rack. Now, what I'm going to want to do is display the tube ID here, I believe. The unique aliquot ID is a number that Freezerworks gives it that doesn't mean anything to us here. We want the unique tube ID here. Now, and then if I double click on any of these, I can go into the viewing screen and see the sample that I just double clicked and went into. And here's the viewing screen here. It tells me where in the freezer I need it. So this is how I can view an entire freezer. By scrolling up and down this walk-in, I can do that. What's normally going to happen though is you're going to store these, you're going to put them away, and then the day is going to come or time comes, the doctor says, hey, pull out a certain sample. I need to run a test on that. We're going to run a second test. How would I do that? The easiest way is in View Inventory. I'm going to launch Quick Search. Here it is, Launch Quick Search. And with Quick Search launched, here, this little window will stay out here all the time with the cursor sitting here. So I go ahead and I do my work in the lab. I get a call from the doctor to pull a sample out and test it. So I find the tube ID that the LIMS, the Lab Information System, Hospital Information System gave this aliquot. I pull it out, and here it is. And now I just go and I scan and locate it. And we'll just do this here like this. So I scan it. As you can see, the number gets scanned, and the aliquot shows up right here. I got one aliquot here, which is the number that this is the Freezerworks ID. We'll want to change this to tube ID here, but it's the same aliquot. We'll double click on it, and we can see that 10005 is the tube that I want, and this is the Freezerworks ID that we're not really using in this situation. So I've scanned, I've located it. Now I go to the Thursday freezer. I go to rack 1. I go pull out rack 1. I go to A7, and there it is. And I pull it out, and I can do my work. I may want to go ahead and delete that aliquot here when I'm done. So I pulled it out, delete it. I'm going to delete the entire aliquot. When it's tested, it's gone. I remove it. And so aliquot number 1 is now gone because I deleted it. And I run my test. Found it quickly, used it, and everything. So the nice thing also about Freezerworks is that as I do these things, the audit trail keeps track of everything that I've done. So I can see when the sample was added, and I can see this discard date and all that kind of thing. I can see the aliquot, when it was removed, when it was deleted, when it was created, and so forth. This is these fields cannot be tampered with, but they're very useful to proving that aliquots and samples were what you did with them. You have a backup trail. Who did it, what process they used, and what they did with each sample record, each aliquot record. Very, very useful. So this is what I do then. So with Clip, I quickly enter and I quickly locate, and I keep things straight that way. Now in order to delete, now let's say that the week has gone by and it's Thursday again. First thing I'm going to want to do when I come in the morning is delete Thursday samples. I'm going to remove them from the refrigerator. It's been a week, and so what I want to do is I'll go to do a simple search here. And I'm going to simple search for samples. I want the samples that have a discard date of, again, it's a week later. And so this will come up as June 6th. So June 6th is the week later. Hit OK. And here are 14 samples that are ready to be deleted. So what I want to do now is go ahead and select them and delete them. This is a view screen. I think what I want to do, we didn't do this earlier, let me do this now, and that is make that a little useful, more useful. It's a list view. It's called samples list view, and I'm going to add some more fields to that. So make this a little more useful. So I don't really care about the ID, Freezerworks ID. I want the tube ID. I'll remove this, the tube ID, the Freezerworks ID, give it the tube ID. I want the storage date. I want the discard date. And I think that's probably going to be fine for me. Maybe a sample type as well. Why not? So this is the list view. So now when I save this and I go back and I scan this, as you can see, now I've got a little more information. I can scan and say, okay, this is the tube I want. Double click and go in like this. So again, it's a week later. Now let's go ahead and delete our aliquots. It's Thursday, and first thing I want to do is delete last Thursday's samples. I'll go to simple search, and samples discard date is equal to, and I give it the June 6th. Hit OK, and now I can see that yes, these are all my tubes for today, the 6th. If I want to double check anything, go in here and say, yeah, okay, yeah, these are all Thursday's samples. I'm going to go ahead and delete them, like so. And I would hit delete. Before I do that, let me show you another way to delete. And this would come in handy because it might be easier, it would be easier actually, if you went to View Inventory, Explore Freezers, and went to the walk-in and went to Thursday and selected the racks and just deleted them this way. So here's our rack, and I could delete the whole shelf, could delete the whole rack, and I can hit delete, and this will delete the entire rack of all these samples. And so I can do that as well, and this would be a nice easy way. So now Thursday is now empty. Now whenever a section is empty, you'll see that when I click on the X box, it disappears. So Thursday is now empty. It has no aliquots. However, the way Freezerworks is set up, you have a sample and you have aliquots listed that sample. This Explore Freezers only deletes the aliquots, but the sample records are still in the system. So it still works, but it's not as clean. So what I also want to do after that is I do want to go and do my simple search in the same fashion and go and find my my June 6th samples again. And so as you can see, even though I deleted those 14 aliquots, the sample records still remain. I have not deleted the sample records because those get deleted here. So if you can see, if I go in here, I still have my sample record, but my aliquots are now deleted because I deleted them at that last screen. And as I scroll to the next, and I can see that the aliquots are all gone. So that's a big thing you want to know about Freezerworks is samples and aliquots. Aliquots are linked to samples. If I delete the aliquots at Explore Freezers like I did before, I can do that, but the samples are still there. So over time, you'll find you'll have all these empty sample records. So a nice easy way to do that would be to go ahead and do your discard date search, list them all, select them all, and then press delete. And you can delete all your aliquot or your sample records that way. So now my system is totally clean. I've got no samples here. I've deleted them all. So if I go ahead and do the search like so, I will find no matching samples. The clip also has an automated way to regularly delete the samples that need to be deleted to help the administrator who needs to do this task to do it quickly and easily. Let me show you how this is set up and used. You set this up at System Admin, System Properties, and over here we have something called Automatic Export. This gives you the ability to have a user, for example here an administrator, when he logs in on a daily basis or every other day. In this situation you'd want him every day to log in, and the Freezerworks will tell him that he can now delete the samples that need to be deleted. So you enable this, select the user that would be doing the operation, and then set the export frequency. So every day this automatic export will pop up for the user admin when he logs in. If there's a 3 here, then every third day he'll be asked if he wants to do an automatic export. One thing to know about automatic export is that it will select samples that will be ready for deletion by looking at the discard date and coming after the discard date. So if your discard date is the same day that you're running automatic export, those samples will not be discarded. It's all samples that have not been deleted after the discard date. So it looks at the discard date and selects all those samples with aliquots that come after that discard date. The other thing the automatic export does is keep your data file clean from deleted records. When you delete a record, a sample or an aliquot with a sample with aliquots in Freezerworks, the record is marked as deleted, but it hasn't been actually deleted from the database. In older versions of Freezerworks and Clip, over time these deleted records that weren't totally removed would start to build up, and the program would suffer from performance. So what we did was create a way to delete deleted records. Also the audit trail for those deleted records is cleaned up as well. So automatic export will delete deleted records, delete the audit trail from those deleted records, but before doing so give you a text file that you can save. So let me show you how this will work then. Let's go ahead and save this. And what I've done is I went ahead and entered some more samples into our database. Here I've got 14 sample records with a discard date of the 17th of June. So if this is the 17th of June, I want to delete all of them and clean it up, clear them out and delete them, I would select them all, highlight them all, and hit delete. Let's go ahead and just delete a couple of them here. I'm just going to delete these last two ones here. I'm going to hit select delete, and I get a print. I'm not going to verify the print, I'm just going to delete them, so I select yes here. And now we have 12 samples. Those two have been deleted. They have not, however, been totally removed from the database. If I come down to list deleted samples, I'll see them here. So if I want to go back and look at deleted samples in a view only aspect, I can do that. Look at audit trail and that kind of thing. If performance starts to lag and I need to delete and clean out my data field, my deleted records, then that's what I would use. Automatic export can help me to do that on a regular basis. So let's go ahead and do that. What I'm going to do is exit out and log in back in the Freezerworks, so as admin. So I'm going to go ahead and quit now. I'm going to log back in now as admin, and we'll see the automatic export option show up. Now when I select OK, the program will look, sees that I'm admin, and it'll look and see if it's time to run automatic deletion. And it is. I haven't run it today. I asked to do it every day. I'm going to say select yes here. And here's the results of the search. Freezerworks has found 14 sample records that have an expiration date greater than today's date, which is the 18th of June. 14 samples. Now we deleted 2 of those. They're marked as deleted. It's selecting those as well. So there's 12, actually 14 that are going to be discarded. 12 that have not been marked as deleted, 2 that have been marked as deleted. Now the reason why we save deleted samples in the audit trail is so that you have a long-term backup of everything you did. You can go back and see the samples that came in and deleted and that kind of thing. Good for quality assurance. But for performance reasons, if you decide you want to delete those deleted records but have a backup of the information, give you the ability to do this by creating export files. Let's go ahead and discard samples on or after this date, and the date would be, let's go ahead and select today's date here, which would be samples discarded on beginning June 18th. In fact, let's go ahead and select the day before just to make sure we have everything. Select save, and the first thing I'll do is it'll create a file of the exported audit trail information. Select OK, and let's go ahead and we find a place we want to save these things. I'll make this 2013 text, and I also need a file name for deleted records file. So it will be 2 files that we're saving, and I'll give this one a D for deleted records. So I've saved a text file of all of the information. So now when I go to my view inventory, remember I had those records for the discard date of yesterday, the 17th. We see that it's clear and they're gone. And if we go and look at deleted samples, we see that those 2 deleted samples that I had earlier are deleted as well. We're keeping the data file small and manageable by removing extraneous information that we don't need anymore. If I do need it, however, I can get it by selecting those data files. Let's go ahead and take a look at those now. Those text files that I created. Logs. And here they are, right here. Let's take a look at the first one. And this is all of the information for the samples that were deleted, exported on this date from the audit trail. Everything that was done, which user did it, and so forth. That's the audit trail. Let's open up the deleted records. Here they are, the records that were deleted and the date that they were deleted. This concludes our class on using the clip batch entry in Freezerworks Basic 7. This is again Rick Michaels. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, please give us a call on any of this. Happy to help you through it here at DataWorks, or support at freezerworks.com, or call our phone number. Thank you.